Hello and welcome to LTWS Backstage Chronicles. I'm your host, Jessica Perry, and today we're taking you behind the curtain of our 90th season finale, Oklahoma. In this episode, we'll explore the technical magic that brings this iconic musical to life. From choreography and scenic design to costumes and staging, we'll learn what goes into creating a world where the wind really does come sweeping down the plain. We're joined by director and choreographer Katie Jo Icenhower.
Hey.
Scenic designer This Robot Dreams, a.k.a. Tab May.
Hello.
And costume designer Daisy Neske.
Hello.
Each of them brings their own unique artistry to this production, and we can't wait for you to hear how it all comes together. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to LTWS Backstage Chronicles, leave us a review, and share it with your fellow theater lovers. Now, let's head behind the scenes. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Hey, doing good. Come on back behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I feel I should warn everyone I only had 4 hours of sleep last night, so there might be some rambling or long pauses in the middle of sentences. Just thank you in advance for your patience.
Throw out, yes.
Bring it on.
That'll be fun. Purple.
Be in a dream ballet.
Fish.
Fish.
Sorry, I'm a 4 hour.
Are you trying to make this more surreal?
Yes, we will make this surreal.
Purple fish.
Really surreal. They don't glow as well under the black lights as yellow does, but I just digress and jump ahead of myself.
So this podcast will air later than it records. So for those who are listening, about how far along in the planning phases of the technical side are we in so far?
As far as choreography goes, I'm done.
Ooh. The rest is up to the actors.
That's right. They've got the notes. We've got it done. Yay. Finito.
Ooh. What was your most challenging part about choreography?
The dream. No, that's not true. The tap dance in Kansas City. I am not really a tapper, so it's hard for me. I don't. A paradiddle versus a Shirley Temple. It's hard. So I have to write it. I write it out in detail. Right toe, right heel, left toe, left heel. Count 1, 2. So it takes forever to write it out. So that's the most challenging. And then we wanted to trim the ballet, so finding the logical places to make cuts, because Agnes DeMille and 15 minutes worth of ballet, not really a fave of modern audiences. So we're cutting it down to the essentials.
Okay. So what about you, Daisy?
I am pretty good too. I actually have pulled every costume. I just have to do accessories, and we're building a bunch of things for the Dream Ballet. So it's very exciting. In fact, when I left, I had about 6 ladies in the shop working, so that was fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, and we started fitting, so I think we're in great shape, too.
So who's been your favorite character to costume so far?
Oh, my God. I like them all. I mean, I really do. Like, I think Emily's came out super cute, who is playing Gertie. And Adu Annie, I mean, her look, her hair, she is just that character. Like, yeah. I saw her in the hallway, and I was like, oh, my goodness, you are that character, without even being in costume. And no, I can't say it. Everyone so far that I've costumed or had a fitting with has been beyond my wildest dreams. Been perfect.
Aww.
No,
Aww.
really, it really
they
has.
Are really lovely.
The costumes just look so great on them, and I love the colors.
So nice.
Yes, everyone loves their costume. It's been wonderful. So
You're so
whiny
sweet.
divas.
no, it's true. Though.
No, I tell my children I don't have favorites either. Like,
Liar.
No, I do not have favorites, guys. You're both my favorites.
Aww.
Okay. So, Tab, how far along are you in the set phase? Scenic design phase.
I'm glad that I'm going for a minimalist design with this set, that there's not a whole lot to it, because I haven't gotten a lot of volunteers so far on this one. And this is... So we're now getting to the end of my 3rd season as TD, and one of the biggest challenges is how to plan ahead when you don't know what your labor force is going to be until they actually show up. So I deliberately chose a set design that doesn't have a lot to it. Partly for those reasons, I almost said fartly. Partly for those
4 hours
reasons.
of sleep. 4 hours of
yes,
sleep.
4 hours of sleep. Just in case, we didn't have the help there that I, didn't. I wasn't too ambitious with the set, but I wanted to stay out of the way of the choreography and the costumes and just really, I sort of see this as more of a really stylized dance concert more than an actual play with like realistic buildings and architecture. It's really just about telling the story and focusing on, again, the costumes, the choreography, the movement, the acting. I just wanted the space to feel really big and open. So it's mostly sky. We're using our big sky drop, and I'm building a giant periaktoi, which I've wanted to do for a while. For those who don't know, periaktoi is a Greek word. It's plural for periaktos. A periaktos is a 3-sided set piece that has an image on each side, and only one side faces the audience at a time. And it's one of the ways you can affect a scene change without having to fly a drop in from above or anything like that. You just rotate this. And so I'm building 4 of those, one side of which will have the sky painted on it to supplement our drop. Because, if you've ever been to Oklahoma or that part of the country, it's big and flat and you just see sky in all directions. And I want our audience to see sky in all directions when they come in. So it's a pretty simple design, and it's because of the structure, it's building a lot of the same kinds of pieces over and over again. So it's only going to take a few people to get sort of an assembly line process going. We build the frames, we put on the fabric. Like it'll get done. I'm not at the point of panicking yet.
Interestingly enough, the original set was very simple.
Yes.
They had a yellow hill, blue sky, and a porch. For Act 1, and a few crates, and
Yes.
then in Act 2,
we have more than a few crates.
Yeah, they strung up baskets. Act 2 had baskets along the back.
Oh, okay.
Strange, but yeah. So you're right in line with the original thinking for the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you.
Well, that's a relief.
Well, I know in theater, like everybody has their role and that they focus on, but with the technical side, especially with costume set, directing, like things overlap. How have your roles had to overlap? Have you had to work together? Things you had to collaborate together on?
Yeah, I mean, me and Tab, of course, because we are in the same building, it's easy for us. But like the paint colors, I got hit the paint colors that they were using, so I've been using those to help with my palette, so I know if the colors will mesh. And I am using pattern because I love using crazy patterns, but that they don't look bad together, but they're kind of like crazy patterns. And I love color, but I'm using muted color because I feel like the blue sky is the star. And then,
yeah.
I mean, I am using intense colors, though. Like I guess muted is not, they're heavy saturated colors.
Yeah, because I want the colors in the set to be pretty natural. I also don't want the colors on the scenery to be too strong so that Jason Irons, our lighting designer, has more control over the colors with the lighting. Because, you make colors too vivid. There's only so many ways you can light it, and it, trying to find the right balance between colorful enough but not overwhelming the lighting. And I feel like I'm just sort of saying the same thing over and over again in different ways. But yeah, I did.
I'll jump in. You can't
yes.
do blocking unless you know the set design. You can't put costumes on someone who's got to do a high kick or be flipped over someone's shoulders. So they all always work together. So it's good to know where someone's going with something, so that you can coordinate and make it all come together seamlessly.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, Hammerstein, who was the one, Oklahoma's also often credited as being the first musical, one of the things he said was, we don't want to jump from the scene into the song. We want to ooze. So we are not jumping from set design to costumes to directing. We are oozing them all together.
Yes, my favorite part of theater is the collaboration and bringing ideas together. And, on the one hand, there's a certain kind of theater that's very efficient and where you can plan everything rigidly in advance and you just go. But I much prefer something that's closer to devising, where you just invent along the way. And so a lot of my set designs I try to make very flexible and fluid. My design philosophy when it comes to scenery is I don't design sets. I build playgrounds for other artists to explore.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
so with this show, and particularly because Katie Jo is also a set designer sometimes, right? I've seen your work.
Necessity.
Yeah,
Aw,
well, you're very good. And so this set,
we trained under some of the same people.
that's true. Yes, Katie Jo and I first
Go
met.
way back.
Summer of '93. We both worked in the scene shop together in Greensboro for Livestock Players Musical Theater, and yes, we learned a lot under David Bell.
Yeah, David Bell.
Little,
and then,
yes, digression.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, we do.
who now
go.
lives in the house I grew up in. Another digression. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he bought it from my mom back in the day. Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's wild. So
Totally
yes.
random facts.
So,
I'll
but,
take random facts for 400, please, Alex.
Yes,
Okay,
and,
sorry.
and the point I was driving towards, if I can still find it after all of that, and is that this set it's very simple. It's also made of a lot of small moving pieces that can literally go anywhere, which helps in a lot of ways, because one, our rehearsal space is much, much smaller than the stage. So everyone who works on our shows has to have a certain degree of flexibility. But, I wanted to give Katie Jo the freedom to block everything the way she needs to and put the scenery where she needs it based on discoveries they make in rehearsal. And so that she knows that, as opposed to just giving a big rigid, here's the house, this is it, make it work, or I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I love to just,
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
yeah.
So it seems like to do this, you have to be really collaborative.
Isn't that what makes theater the best art? I'm
Yes.
sorry. It's because it's a whole bunch of different artists working together. It is a team sport from start to finish, from the actors to the various producers and directors and everything. It works together to create something that changes night to night based on the audience. It's a living, breathing work of art. It's fantastic. It's my favorite.
Oh, I love it.
I know.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm sure you've had people that have been easy to work with and some people that have been not easy to work with.
We don't mind going to that.
No. We're not calling
Is
anybody
this
out.
that kind of podcast? I wasn't aware.
All right, let me get my list.
I was going to say, it seems like you all kind of work really easy together. Like, it seems like you kind of get the same idea and the same vibe. And you're
Well,
like,
again, I've known Tab forever. Not forever. A long time. I've just met Daisy. She's phenomenal. I lucked out. So it's great.
it doesn't hurt that Daisy's like the nicest person
I
in
know,
the
right?
world.
And so I see you slipping her money under the table. What's that all about?
Please.
So, is there anything that you want people to really notice when they come and see this show? Anything about the set, or for example, like, is the set? So you said it's minimalist, lots of pieces. The audience might have to use their imagination more with where they're at, or
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's all storytelling,
Right.
and there are a lot of things that there's a lot of information that's conveyed in the dialogue and the relationship from the characters, and you don't need to see every plank on every side of the house,
Right.
or there's so much.
That's what makes another thing about theater that's great is that it allows the audience to contribute creatively, and filling in the blanks. So one of the things I love is with the black lighting and Daisy costuming to that and making pieces that are going to pick up on that in the Dream Ballet. So it'll have way more of that eerie, dreamy feel to it. It's phenomenal.
I don't really know what it's going to look like because I don't have a black light.
You don't?
No.
Do you need one?
Yes. Please. I was like, I wanted to run it through like everything. I mean, we already started making
I'll
it.
bring it tomorrow. So my mother's estate is closing, and somebody said, "Oh, these are uranium glass. Uranium glass glows under black light." So we went and bought a black light, and I said, "Yes, they are uranium." So now we have a random black light. It's just a bulb that screws into a socket.
Perfect.
Bring it to you.
Oh my God! Please.
This is work. This is the best podcast ever because we are working things out right now.
I know, because I had to, because I had the ladies there and I had to make a decision. And I know that pinks, and I wanted to do yellows, but we didn't have any yellow because I also need to make sure I use our stock because, I need a lot of it.
Sure.
So the only thing I really had was this neon-y, pinky gingham check, which will be perfect. Mm-hmm. And we ruffled it, and with the black light, I think it's going to be amazing. But I would love to see maybe some other things that I want to use for other accents that maybe can enhance it. I would know more if I had the light.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You will. That's great.
Thank you.
I think it's fascinating. I know this is off topic. It's not about behind the scenes.
No, that's fine.
But I will say that I think it's interesting that Oklahoma is such a watershed show in that they started doing things that no one else had done. While they have the lead couple, which is more of in a serious operatic tone as the things that came before it were, they were the first show to have a secondary couple where the humor is with a parallel love story. Mm-hmm. So you have the secondary couple for humor. They were the first show to do a cast album. What? Yeah. Did you know Oklahoma is the show that started the phrase musical theater? Rodgers and Hammerstein called it a musical play, but a critic of theirs called it musical theater, and that's where we get the term from. It was so popular in 1943 that by 1953, Oklahoma made the song Oklahoma their state song. I mean, it's big time. I mean, while it wasn't really the first musical, but they give it credit for being that because it's the one that started the change for the rest of musical theater. Technically, you could go back to the Black Crook in 1866, but that didn't change anything, and nobody remembers that one. Anyway, so I digress. I just wanted to share that because I have trivial knowledge that I find fascinating, and now everybody knows.
No, I find that fascinating too.
Wasn't that great? Infotainment. Mm-hmm. Just those sort of things you're like, wait, what? In fact, when it was when they were workshopping it out of town, and it was called Away We Go, it's based on a book called Green Grow the Lilacs. But they said, oh, yeah, this is a musical. And Hammerstein's partner did not want to do it. And Rodgers, who was working with Rodgers and Hart was having drinking issues, and he said he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do some country show. So it's the first show that Rodgers and Hammerstein did together, which is really cool that it's such a watershed one. Anyway, well, it was out of town called Away We Go because it was not a review. Because back then, every show started with a big dance number, girls in short skirts, woo-woo, while people were getting seated. And they didn't have that. And they didn't have funny one-liners, ta-ta-ta. An out-of-town critic said, it's got no legs, no jokes, no chance. It was the longest running show of the time. 2,212 performances. Bam! In your face, critic. But they did change the name, so just saying. All right. I have shared all my infotainment. I'm done.
No. No, that's great. I love it when I don't have to talk.
Yeah, because technically they're not. He was totally wrong. It does have legs. The burlesque girls don't come in till the Dream Ballet at the end of Act 1, so it has legs. It has jokes, but it's not separate jokes. The jokes are integral to the story, mostly with the secondary characters of Will and Ado Annie, but not the main characters. That's why your lead, Curly, is a baritone, and your lead, Lori, is a soprano. And then you have your secondary characters, tenor and mezzo, because they're the comic ones. Oh. And that was set up such a tradition that to this day we see that. To this day. Just saying.
I mean, we could deal with some, alto, mezzo leads. I'm just saying. we can trend.
Yeah, altos tend to be the villain.
Oh well.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm good at that too.
Villains are more fun roles to play.
They
I'm just saying.
are.
Milk toast. Oh, sweet. You're nothing but sweet and good. Yay. Good luck with that. No fun. No fun.
It's hard. It's not hard. I'm sorry. I'm not on the microphone. It's not hard to convince people that you're a good guy, but you have to really convince them if you're the bad guy.
Yes. Yes.
If you're a good actor, you will find ways to have lots of fun being the good person, and I'm sure Rachel does a great job.
Oh,
with
Rachel's
that.
so excited to be lifted. And Curly, our Curly is 6'5", and our Lori is tiny. She's 5'4" and maybe 100 pounds wet. She's itty bitty, and he's like, "So you want me to throw her on my shoulder like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, but can you flip her once on the way up?" Great, that's what I'm looking for. And, it's like, and we're doing a song, and I just have them posing, holding hands at the end. It's like, "Can I just throw her up on my shoulder for this?" "Sure, you go ahead and do that." So she's like, "Yay, I get thrown around some more." And I was showing our Will and Ado a possible lift because they're closer to the same size, and he's a little smaller and she's not. And I was like, "This is called a moon flip." And they were like, "Yeah, no, we don't think so." And our Lori and Curly were like, "We could do that." I'm like, "No, that is not the right move for you. That doesn't fit with your character. It only fits with Will and Ado Annie." So I love that they're like, "Let's do it."
Well, that is interesting, though, that there's different flips that, like, no, this is, I mean, you don't think flips works for a character, but that's actually a part of,
Yeah.
like, you have to think about all the different types of moves and choreography and the different type of dance moves. And, no, they wouldn't do those kind of dance moves. And
For the farmer and the cowman, I watched so much square dancing. I learned that square dance is actually called in the moment. It is called, and they tell you what to do seconds before you do it. That's why you don't have a standard song, because you have to have the ability to. So I'm learning all these. Okay, so we want to pass through, we want to square through the couples, and then round to the corners, and then we can dotsy-do and take them back home. So I was like, I think I could call square dancing at this point, right?
I'd come to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they're going to do it, except for we had someone drop out. So we had 8, 8, and 8. That's 3 sets of square dancing couples. It was perfect. And then somebody dropped out. So one group
you
6.
added someone, right?
No, we ended up, so the group of 8 went down to 7, and that doesn't work. So I had to take out somebody. So one group is doing something different from the other 2, and we had to re-choreograph because it doesn't work. You can't do a dodge and whirl with 6 people. It doesn't. You have to have 8. So
this kind of goes back to what Tab was talking about keeping the set flexible, keeping everything flexible, because things are constantly changing. You never know, like, if everyone you start with is going to be everyone that you finish with. And so I think, like, theater, and that's what's, like, you keep talking about what's amazing about theater. Well, another thing that's amazing about theater is, like, it breeds adaptability. You have to be super adaptable.
The show must go on.
Right. It has to go on. For better or for worse, it's going on. So you just got to, like, adapt and like, adapt or die. Just, like, keep going. Adapt or die. Adapt or die.
It's fun. Well, how many times have you been backstage sewing on a button or pinning something together because it fell apart? Or
zippers breaking.
Or having a curtain go off track. Or So I've been there when things happen. So I remember, were you part of the Anything Goes where the boat came off the track? And
No.
the
When was
entire
that?
cast back in the day.
Oh, I thought you meant the one we just did, the youth one.
No. I'm old. This was John Sorry. I love him. He's just recently retired. He'd build huge sets. He'd have double story. So we had a boat that actually ran on tracks and closed, and you could be on 3 different levels of the boat, and then they opened up to be the staterooms, and it jumped the track, and we all had to get on and force it back on the track. The entire cast, like, and the curtain is closed, and we're like, go! It was, adaptability. Sorry, I'm stopping you from talking, Jessica.
No, that's what you should do. You are the director.
Aw, thank you. And now, back to Jessica, already in progress. I love it. You just like it.
So what has been some of the craziest things that you've had to do or fix in the middle of a production? Because like the thing is, you sit there and you think, you know, you keep working on it until it opens. But honestly, there's still some things that like need to be worked on after it opens.
Well, you know, speaking of David Bell and livestock players, Jesus Christ Superstar in '95. Do you remember what happened?
Yes, I do. With the cross. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So David Bell designed the set for this show, Jesus Christ Superstar, and he had found these huge wooden beams from like an old mill or something to make the cross out of, and it was heavy. And it was inset in a ramp in the middle of the stage, and the way to raise it was with a cable and a winch. Cable would come down from the grid, they would hook it into a loop on top of the cross, and then an electric motor would pull the cable, and that's how they raised the cross. Well, one night, I don't know what happened, but whoever was responsible for activating the motor activated it too soon before the cable got hooked into the cross, and so the cable just like went on up and the cross was still on the floor. And so the stage manager was trying to communicate to the people backstage like, no, we're not, like, you need to bring the cable down. And this took some time, so everybody's vamping, the orchestra's vamping, the actors on stage are wailing and vamping. And at this moment, one of the centurions, played by a young man named Carrie Dean MacArthur, leans right over and says into the actor playing Jesus' lavalier mic, "Son of a bitch, how are we going to get him up?" To where the whole audience could hear that. And they did finally, you know, get the message, and the cable came back, and they hooked it up, and they got the cross up. So that's not necessarily repairing something in the middle. It's just you asked the question, and that's the first story that came to my mind.
I saw a production of Oklahoma wherein the dramatic scene, again, livestock, Lori's skirt just dropped to the floor. It just dropped off her, and she did not realize it. And she's going on talking to Curly, and Aunt Eller came up behind her to pick her skirt up, and she almost blessed her out because she didn't realize her skirt was around her feet. But it worked out. The audience was giggling at that, though, I will admit. But I've been in shows where somebody dropped out or got sick 2 days before, and someone else, multiple shows where someone had to take over a role, and you have 1 day to learn it or 2 days to learn it. All the dances, and we were like, okay, you don't have to dance here. We'll keep you here. Everybody else dances around. You're singing this. Let's learn the song. And you just throw someone in, and they're with the book off stage, cramming lines. And oh my goodness, that's always fun.
Bless them for doing it, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because that is stressful.
Yeah, but, you know, I've never gone up to someone and said, turns out so-and-so's sick. I need you to fill in. And I never had anyone say, no, pick someone else. Yeah. Never.
Yeah.
They've always been up for it. So, which says a lot about theater people, you know?
And if the audience doesn't know, the audience doesn't know.
Well, I mean, they do know because you have to say, and the person who is supposed to play, you'll notice in your program that Scott Eisenhower was supposed to play. He will now be playing. So,
well, Daisy, do you have any?
I mean, there's been nothing like super major. I mean, in costuming, if something breaks, you either can fix it or you can't, and you just got to pretend like it's not broken. You know, I mean, like a zipper or, I mean, I guess what the most recent one was in Little Shop when, I can't remember who it was, but I was enjoying opening night, and all of a sudden people come running at me, so-and-so's, and I can't remember, I'm sorry, so-and-so's zipper's broke, so-and-so's zipper broke, and literally we were going on in like 10 minutes. So I ran back there, and I literally just stitched her in, lifted her skirt up, or her dress, I can't remember, and just whip-stitched it all the way up because it wasn't a quick change. So we had time to snip it out when she changed and she wasn't getting back into it, so we were good. But literally, and they were going to hold the show, but thankfully, with my quick skills,
Yes.
I got it done in time, and she just went on. But it was, she was worried about it, and she was scared, and they couldn't find me, so everyone was frantically running around. So that was kind of exciting, I guess.
Isn't that the rule in theater? If it
Not in
moves and it's not
costume.
supposed to, use duct tape. If it doesn't and it's supposed to, use WD-40.
Oh my goodness!
These are the rules of theater. I actually had a costume break on me on stage. Zipper, I suddenly was like, why do I feel this person's hand on the back of my lower back? And we are supposed to end with a deep bow, which would have caused my dress to literally drop forward. I was like, nope. And we're bowing at the end, we're curtsying, and my partner's pulling me down. I'm like, stuff it. I got one hand behind my back. I've been dancing. I'm like, yay, that was fun.
Yeah,
So things happen.
That's the most common, is the zipper breaking or a seam ripping. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and you do your best, and that's it.
Right.
So Oklahoma, is a classic, and there's going to be a lot of people who come who know this show or have known this show since they were a child. But for those who are younger, who may be experiencing Oklahoma for the first time, what do you think that they're going to really get out of this?
It's a watershed musical for a reason. It was originally done in 1943, and yes, a lot of people do know it because it's been around for so long. They didn't even have the Tony Awards when it opened. So it did not win a Tony because the Tonys didn't start until 1947, but it did get a Pulitzer, just saying. Anyway, and why did it? Because it explores certain aspects of the human condition that are timeless and true, relationships and the dangers of flirting with something that maybe you shouldn't, jealousies and how do you treat the outsider? And this show has been redone looking at it from different points of view. In the revival, they made Judd far more sympathetic and had Curly shoot him in cold blood at the end rather than Judd falling on his knife. And if you've not seen the show and I've just spoiled that for you, I'm sorry. Anyway, then stop listening to the podcast 5 minutes ago.
Forget it. Just completely forget what you just heard.
But that changed the trial at the end to being a commentary about how communities can be so closed that they turn on any outsider, which it's an interesting thing to say, have a piece that's that old that can be used to explore. Oops, sorry. Such a different, I talk with my hands and I hit the mic sometimes, such a different viewpoint than was originally meant to be expressed, because again, this was during World War II. This was about American solidarity, about doing what's right, and so the virtuous are saved. So you have the trial for Curly because he's really innocent, which it's interesting how that same show can be used to show 180 different perspectives.
So for those who don't know, is this the revival version or is this the classic?
Yeah, we're going classic. Classic Americana right here.
That's right.
Yes. I like the classic shows. There's a reason they're classic, and I like to honor that and bring it forward as the original authors as much as possible intended. Yes, we did cut down the Dream Ballet, but remember, this was back when vaudeville was very popular, and right before intermission, you had a long dance. It was usually a separate ballet. You had different numbers going on, sometimes jugglers or comedians or dog acts or whatever, but right before intermission you had, well, it's true,
I just wish we had dogs in our production.
Well, we could. Does anybody, if you have a dog and you'd like it to be in Oklahoma, call me. Anyway, but right before intermission, you'd have a big dance number. So a big production dance number. So this was their take on that by putting in the Dream Ballet. And while I admire that and it conveys some important information, like Judd is a little scary and there's a reason you shouldn't have agreed to go to the box social with him, and you need that information conveyed, you don't need it conveyed for 15 minutes. So we trimmed it down. So it has all the essence, all the essential parts, but it moves a little quicker.
In today's age, like, people's attention spans are way shorter than they used to be. So it's really difficult to get people to sit down for like 3 hours to see even a movie.
Right. The classic shows were generally 3 hours long. You look at things like Showboat and Fiddler, and all these tend to be 3 hours long. Modern audiences expect 2. And that's what we're trying to get down to, is 2. Will we make it? It'll probably be 2:15, 2:30 with intermission. So the
Which is not bad for a classic musical.
Exactly. I'm saying the faster you get back from the bathroom.
Let's not hold up those concession lines,
That's
guys.
right. Get your popcorn, get to see.
Get your glass of wine and your popcorn and go sit down.
That sounds lovely, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Any last words? Anything you'd like to share? Anything we didn't get to touch on?
Purple.
Fish.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And with that, that's a wrap on today's episode of LTWS Backstage Chronicles. Huge thanks to Katie Jo, Tab, and Daisy for sharing their creative process and giving us a peek into the beautiful collaboration behind Oklahoma. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review and share this podcast with your friends. You can find us on all major streaming platforms. And for more information about shows and tickets and classes, visit us at ltofws.org. Stay tuned for our next episode as we talk with the cast and explore why this musical continues to resonate with audiences decades later. Until then, I'm Jessica Perry. Thank you for listening, and a special thanks to our media sponsor, Such and Such Media, for helping us share these stories.
Huzzah!
And as always, we'll see you at the theater. The views and opinions of this podcast are those of the contributor and not necessarily those of our distributors and hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted. Use of this podcast without express permission may result in alien blood-sucking plants taking over the world. You have been warned.